Howdy, y'all. I'm Justin.
And I'm Kim.
Welcome to Cowboys Like Us, the podcast where we talk about Taylor Swift and her music. Yeehaw. Hello, and welcome to the Cowboys Like Us podcast. The only podcast serving up tasty pizza pies just like a mama used to make.
Scatto borchetta.
Scatto borchetta.
Scatto borchetta.
First off, some pod business. You may notice that our Instagram and threads have disappeared from the internet, and that is because Mark Zuckerberg is a player hater and he is trying to keep us down. But we will not be suppressed. We'll be back and better than ever before you know it.
Yes, sir.
So, in the meantime, just keep listening to the podcast.
Yep. Just keep on coming back.
It's the main product anyway, so.
Or find us on Twitter.
Yes. Also, some poll results. People voted, and Dear Reader got a 6 from the people.
Dear Reader, that feels a little high for Dear Reader, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. There's no accounting for taste.
I guess not.
In other podcast news, we are having a boy.
It's a boy.
That's right. JJ the podcast baby. We had a gender reveal for it, and he's a boy.
JJ's a boy. JJ is not the name of our baby, it's the nickname of our baby, so.
Yeah, JJ for Justin Jr., which I still think is an ideal name for a child.
It's not what we're naming our kid. But our baby's a boy. We had a Taylor Swift themed gender reveal.
That's right. We had friendship bracelets and
fun little heart sunglasses and mirror ball, disco ball straws.
Yes, indeed.
We had Polaroid pictures.
Madeline read a very long speech that was full of Taylor Swift puns.
Yeah, I guess I could have read it on the podcast, but
maybe we'll share it on our social media when we get them back.
But yeah, it was all really fun. We got the reveal was we got shirts like Taylor's Red era shirts that have the black lettering with the red word in the middle, and ours said in my boy mom era or in my dad mom era.
Boy dad era. Not your dad mom.
My dad mom era. That's what I meant. I'm sorry. There's a bit of an echo in my headphones, and so my brain is struggling.
Indeed. But yes, we're very excited, and we'll see how everything goes. You know? Yeah.
Gonna have a little boy.
Let's get into the news then, shall we? Because I think that's it for podcast business.
I think so too.
All right. News from around the Taylorverse. Eras Tour, the movie. Definitely the big news of the week. Coming soon to a theater near you. I believe October 13th, if I am not mistaken.
That is correct.
Yes. We already have tickets? Yes?
We're getting tickets.
We are in the process of acquiring tickets.
I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I'm going to do it. But we're going to go with the Podgram, and we're going to see it, and tickets are much easier to acquire than Eras Tour tickets, so that's nice.
It's already racked up over $30 million worth of pre-sale tickets.
Yep.
Which is like a record, so. Taylor is now saving the film industry.
Yep, for sure.
Another feather in her cap there.
Also, fun little note, Taylor's movie checks all of the boxes of the writer's strike and actor's strike in Hollywood. Everybody's supportive of this movie coming out because she paid everybody who worked on the movie, like, more than what they are asking for, and, gave everybody she works with bonuses and stuff, so they're very much like, yay, Taylor.
Wasn't that nice?
We support it. Why can't everybody else do what you do?
Indeed. Why can't they? Because they're not as good.
I guess not.
The Exorcist, Believer, I'm not sure if it's a prequel or a sequel or what. It was going to come out that same weekend, the 13th, but once they saw Taylor's announcement, they moved their movie up a week because they ain't got that dog in them.
Yep.
Don't want Taylor to drag them.
I don't blame them. And they knew she wasn't going to give up that Friday the 13th release date.
Yeah. Also, Taylor completed her 4 shows in Mexico City. They were her first shows ever in Mexico.
Yeah.
And she played Cornelia Street live for the first time ever. No one could handle it. A lot of people freaking out on the social medias.
Yeah, she also prefaced it by saying, like, a lot of people have been asking for this song, so I guess I'll give it to you.
And she now is off until November when she heads to Argentina to continue the Eras tour.
Thank goodness, because I am so tired of staying up so late.
Yes. But by the time she takes to the road again, we'll have Eras Tour the movie and 1999 TV. So,
Yeah.
gonna be some exciting developments. There is a trend on TikTok called the August Challenge, where users pick up their cat or other pet and spin them around while a remix of Taylor's song August plays in the background. And animal cruelty organizations have expressed some concern about this. The Royal Society for the Prevention of Animal Cruelty in the United Kingdom says that the trend is, quote, completely inappropriate and will likely cause high levels of stress for the animals involved. Whereas Cats Protection, another UK-based agency, said, quote, at no point should an animal deliberately be put in a position to feel fear, anxiety, frustration, or experience pain for the benefit of human entertainment. So, yeah, maybe find something else to do, you guys. Don't traumatize your pets for social media engagement. I say that as somebody who is now desperate for all that we can get, and I wrote that line before
we lost our social media.
Before we lost our social media, so I'm even more desperate now, but I stand by it. Don't traumatize your pets.
Yeah, for sure. Don't traumatize your pets, and it's very obvious when they are in stress. However, this trend is kind of funny. It's funny to watch.
It was also fun to watch the show Pigs the Sky trend, but they hate that.
No, that's true.
So, animals have feelings. Don't hurt their feelings.
I know. I had not even fathomed doing it with our pets, so I guess that's the point. Like, I find humor in it, but, like, if I wouldn't do it to my pets, they shouldn't be doing it to their pets.
Indeed. Not trying to be buzzkills, just,
Just be nice to your pets.
Be nice to pets, yeah. Selena Gomez, Taylor's pet, one of them, has released her new single soon, which reminded me and a lot of other people on the internet of a 30 Rock bit that I won't go into.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Taylor gave Selena a big shout out on Instagram, said, quote, when your bestie is the bestest, we'll be dancing to this forever, methinks.
Methinks.
Never let Taylor's fame and her money distract you from the fact she is, in fact, a huge dork.
Never let it distract you from the fact that she is Jar Jar Binks in a Taylor Swift skin suit.
Also, Miss Gomez had better hope our music career stay strong because her acting peers are big mad at her. They are all on strike currently, which Kimberly mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
She made an Instagram post about her show, Only Murders in the Building, which is a violation of the strike rules. No free promo for any SAG-AFTRA projects. And after a lot of pressure from a lot of people, she eventually deleted the post. Has not said anything as a follow-up that I can find. So, I don't know. We support solidarity with labor on this podcast. So, yeah, Selena shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I don't understand
think it was deliberate.
Enough. Yeah, I'm not in that world, but I agree that people should be paid, decently for the work that they do. So, I am in full support of the strike. Do what you gotta do. I just don't know enough about the industry and about the working conditions to really say whether her making the post was a big deal. But if they think it's a big deal, then I defer to what they feel. The strikers.
Yes. Indeed. We will take their word for it. Records are made to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Sheeran broke Taylor's attendance record at Lumen Field in Seattle this week, which she had set on Eras.
Mm-hmm.
Metallica broke Taylor's attendance record at SoFi Stadium in San Francisco, which had also been set on Eras. So, a long, glorious month-long reign that Taylor had with both of those venues is now over.
I think it's exciting for her, but I don't think she really cares, especially like Ed. He probably texted her and was like, haha, broke your record, bitch.
Yeah, probably. Gaylor Fest happened earlier this summer. I'm surprised Madeline didn't say something about it earlier. A Cosmo writer went to it, and she said that it was a lot of fun for everybody who went. They did have, presentations and stuff about the theory, talking about it, discussion groups, that sort of thing. But it seemed sort of more like a party than a, Comintern meeting where we all come and the chairman tells us how we feel about things. So,
yeah.
Fun time for everybody. So, good for them.
As long as everybody had fun, that's all that matters.
That's right. I just hope everybody has a good time. Let's move on to Chart Watch.
Too much.
Billboard Artist 100. Taylor remains at number 1.
Hell yeah.
On the Hot 100 Singles Chart, Cruel Summer remained at number 4. Karma with Ice Spice dropped 1 spot to number 15. Anti-Hero rose 2 spots to number 18. And I Can See You dropped 3 spots to number 74. On the Billboard Top 200 Albums chart, Midnight's is up 1 to number 5. Speak Now TV is down 2 to number 7. Lovers down 1 to number 8. Folklore down 2 to number 13. 1989 is down 8 to number 17. Reputation down 2 spots to 19. Red TV down 8 spots to 26. Evermore down 7 spots to number 31. Fearless TV down 9 spots to 35. And Debut down 37 spots to number 182. And finally, at last, Speak Now, the stolen version, is out of the top 200.
Yay!
We did it.
We did it.
We are taking sole credit. Yep, so you're welcome, Taylor. We did it.
It was just us. We did it.
Any other news or anything?
Oh, I don't think so. My brain is kind of fried from doing Clown Corner.
I was about to say. Yes, Kimberly has a long Clown Corner. So, let's just jump right into that then, shall we? Kimberly's Clown Corner.
All right, strap in, boys. Have you heard of the 112-day theory?
I haven't.
It's all the Swifties are talking about right now. So, like I said, strap in, buckle up, get cozy, because this one's a doozy. All of this information comes from Nikki, who I have used before, but again, this is just a reminder to go follow her on TikTok because she's the best. Nikki King at Nikki King 23 on TikTok.
Follow her.
Yeah. She has the most informative and in-depth analysis of this theory, and she collaborated with some other TikTokers as well, so you can get her sources and things from her, but this comes from her TikTok, and you should be following her if you don't already. So, it's a clock. Just remember that phrase, it's a clock. The Eras Tour is about celebrating and reclaiming Taylor's music. There was speculation about the clock that the rear cover of the Midnight's vinyl was created when pieced together. When announced, Taylor showed the albums lined up on the back and said, "It's a clock, she's a clock. It can help you tell time. An hour can be separated into even quarters, like the 4 vinyls released."
Interesting. And before we get in too deep,
yeah,
I just want to let everyone know that Kimberly doesn't know how clocks work, so this is a interesting layer as we go through this.
This is why this is all from Nikki and none of this is from my own brain. To clarify, I 100% know how clocks work. It's just a running joke. Just to explain Justin's joke a little bit.
If you say so.
Okay, the first day of tour was March 17th. From the first day of tour to the release of Speak Now, Taylor's version on July 7th was exactly 112 days, or 16 weeks. Speak Now, Taylor's version release on July 7th to the 1989 Taylor's version release on October 27th is also exactly 112 days. Blondie is a creature of habit, not coincidence. If this pattern were a quarter of an hour, we have 2 pieces and we just need 2 more, Reputation and Debut. 112 days from October 27th would be February 16th for a projected Reputation Taylor's version release or announcement. Side note, I would lose my mind if this was true because that's our wedding anniversary and 16 is my lucky number. Taylor will be in Melbourne, Australia.
I believe it's Melbourne, mate.
Probably, but I'm not Australian, so I apologize if I offended the Australians. She will be there on Friday, February 16th, 2024 for the Eras Tour. 112 days after February 16th is Friday, June 7th, when Taylor will be playing in Edinburgh, where we could be getting Debut Taylor's version released or announced. In LA Night 4, she said the crowd had been hopping like kangaroos, so it could be an Easter egg for Australia. And June 7th in the UK would be written 7-6, not 6-7 like we Americans write it. In the music video for Lavender Haze, there's a weather map with various temperature readings on it. Other readings have proven to be Easter eggs so far, and there's a temp listed on Florida, but like to the right, slightly over the ocean, as 76, with an arrow pointing right towards Europe. June 7th is also National Donut Day, and Taylor Nation have both shared donuts on social media often. In one tweet, someone asked, "Is this an Easter egg?" And Taylor replied, "No, it's a donut."
Lol.
Taylor reclaiming her first album and final re-record in June would complete the circle. Taylor's first single was released in June, and her music was officially stolen from her in June. So it would all come back to June. So let's go back. Why 112 days? What does that number mean to Taylor? If you add all of Taylor's songs together that she has recorded and released under Big Machine, not including alternate versions of songs or voice memos, she had 112 songs stolen from her and is reclaiming that stolen music in 112-day cycles.
Does this go back to Red TV and
Yes.
Fearless TV as well?
Yes.
They're both on the 112-day
It goes all the way back to Evermore.
So
It started with Evermore, like the 112-day theory and cycles started with Evermore, and I'll explain it a little bit better later.
Okay.
Taylor is known to associate with the word karma. Whether it's the rumored unreleased album or the song on Midnights, it definitely exists in her vocabulary. Karma in Hinduism is taught as a repetitive cycle of death and rebirth, and with each rebirth, we take karma from our previous lives with us. This cycle continues infinitely until someone makes a conscious choice to break the cycle. The cycle can be broken, and the person will be released like a bird from a cage. In the Reputation era, Taylor uses the imagery of a snake eating itself, which is also a symbol for death and rebirth. At the opening of the Lover era, with the Mean music video, we see a snake break that cycle by bursting into butterflies. This leads to the last music video for the Lover era for the song The Man, and the infamous to Swifties man wall. This is a scene in the video where a man is standing facing a wall of graffiti. Directly in front of his face is the word karma written in black, and right above this is karma in orange. The color Swifties have tied to Karma, the unreleased album. To the right of the orange karma is Fearless. Just below that is Red stacked on top of Speak Now. On the opposite side of the man's body is Reputation. And then slightly higher, there is a sign that says, "A missing, if found, please return to Taylor Swift," with her name in red lettering. And above that is 1989. Most people theorize that this was a clock once clocks began to appear with Midnights. But due to this theory of karma being an infinite cycle and the fact that she has been spotted wearing an infinity bracelet and some re-recorded Easter eggs, this tune has changed to the pattern of the wall being an infinity symbol. The path would go Fearless down to Red and Speak Now, up and left to 1989, down to Reputation, and up and right through the black karma, connecting back to Fearless. Reclaiming each of these albums breaks this infinity symbol by killing each album an old version of herself one by one. So another connection. Lord Shiva is known as the original yogi.
Right.
His teachings say that there are 112 possibilities to release oneself from karma. He was so known for this theory that a statue built of him is exactly 112 feet tall. In these teachings, one must burn their ties to worldly connections. During Bad Blood on the Eras tour, Taylor on the screen sets fire to the Lover House and burns it down completely. If you don't know what this is, it's a house representing the span of her career with one room for each era. Also, a side note, the fire is orange, and orange in Hinduism is purity gained through fire. So when these 112 steps are completed, you break free of the cycle and ascend to a state of bliss forever. In the Midnight's era of the tour, there is an orange door that drops down the screen to come flush with the stage, and the dancers and backup singers exit through that at the end of the show. This door could be representative of Taylor moving on to peace and bliss after she rebuilds the house. So let's talk about 112 and its multiples in real life, in real application. The countdown clock that is shown before Taylor takes the stage at the Eras tour begins precisely at 2 minutes and 24 seconds until show start. Of course, 224 is 112 doubled. On the first leg of the tour, over 224 days, she released 2 re-records. 224 divided by 2 is 112, like we said. Fearless Taylor's version came out on April 9th, 2021. Red Taylor's version was scheduled to come out on November 19th, 2021, but she moved the date up by a week. Based on the original schedule of the number of days between the 2 releases, it would have been 224. 224 divided by 2, 112.
Do we know why she moved it?
We do. It was because Adele was going to release an album. So what a good friend.
Taylor ain't got that dog.
I would like to think that she's just a good friend. Red Taylor's version's scheduled date to the release date of Midnights on October 21st, 2022 is 336 days. 336 divided by 3 is 112. There are only 3 days throughout the entire year where Taylor could repeat this cycle. The 112th day, 224th day, and the 336th day. The surprise songs from Mexico City, Night 1, where I Forgot That You Existed, the first track on Lover, and Sweet Nothing, the 12th track on Midnights. First song from her first fully owned album, and second song from her last original fully owned album. And of course, track 1 and track 12 adds to 13, but put them together and you also get 112. In the Red era, Taylor wears shirts that have different sayings on them, like we mentioned earlier in the podcast. They're black with certain letters in red. At the beginning of tour, everyone noticed a pattern of the shirts Taylor wears in the Red era. The 3 shirts say, "A lot going on at the moment, we're never getting back together like ever, and who's Taylor Swift anyway, ew," with words highlighted in red. So a lot, never, ever, and ew are in red.
Mm-hmm.
Swifties thought originally the red letters would spell out a re-record announcement or release date. The main theory was that it would spell out Speak Now with a date, including 12, but there was a V missing, meaning she would need to introduce another shirt. If you don't introduce another shirt or any more letters, though, you can spell out 112 Reaver. Or, I'm sorry, I said a V missing. There was a V left over, meaning you would need to introduce other shirts. So, if you don't introduce any more shirts or letters, you can spell out 112 Reaver. If, like me, you've never heard the word Reaver, let me give you a vocab lesson. It's an old-ass word that no one uses anymore that means to seize or carry off forcibly to rob, plunder, or pillage.
Okay.
There you go. Could make sense based on everything we know about Taylor.
Sure. If you're familiar with Game of Thrones, the head of House Greyjoy is called the Lord Reaver of Pike.
I had no idea why that was his name. Okay, so here are some more clues that we had before the Eras tour that we didn't realize we had. So in the music video for I Bet You Think About Me, Taylor is attending a wedding, so there's a wedding cake. Everyone agrees that the symbols on the wedding cake pointed towards all of Taylor's albums, maybe even including Easter eggs for Midnights, which we didn't have at this point. It's just a refresher, this song is from the vault tracks on Red Taylor's version. I didn't put that in there, but just in case you've never heard that song before. This was the only traditional music video released from one of Taylor's re-releases. She didn't release any new music videos for her Fearless re-record. We'll probably take a bigger deep dive into this music video when we get to this song, so I'm not really going to go into a ton more other than those specific things we need to talk about for this theory. At the 1 minute 12 second timestamp, you get the first glimpse in the video of the wedding cake. Mm-hmm. This would allude to Speak Now as the next re-record after Red, as it is a song about interrupting a wedding. The next full scene of the video following this timestamp is Taylor standing next to the cake and defacing it by grabbing a big old chunk out of it and knocking over the groom at the top of the cake. At the 2 minute and 24 second timestamp, Taylor pops up at the kids' table. At the kids' table, she puts straws in her teeth like a walrus and pulls a rabbit out of a hat, acting like a child, and the white rabbit would point towards Alice in Wonderland, the song Wonderland from 1989, making this the next re-record represented. At the 3 minute and 36 timestamp, this one, I noticed immediately the connection as a Reputation stan. However, you kind of need visuals and audio to really get it, so I highly encourage watching Nikki's TikTok in her 112 Days playlist. It's part 8, but I'll do my best to describe it. So, at this point in the video, we see the bride and the groom walk out onto the dance floor for their first dance. Everything is quiet, and all you can hear are the clicks of the bride's heels across the floor. It is the same sound clip used on the Eras tour to intro the Rep era. So if you haven't been following the tour, I'll let you in on some more specifics. The intro to the Rep era on tour starts with a snake on screen, and then we see Taylor's feet in black and red snake heels walking towards the crowd on the screen. It goes back and forth between the snake and the heels, but you hear the heel clicking pretty consistently, and it begins to speed up until Taylor walks out onto the stage herself. I'm telling you, the clicking is the same volume, cadence, everything, from the music video to the tour. And obviously we didn't know that this was an Easter egg before the tour, but now it all connects and lines up for Rep to fall in that third quadrant. So at the 4 minute and 48 second timestamp, we have a scene where Taylor is performing at this wedding. She's stolen the spotlight and everyone is ignoring the groom for her. Everybody is dressed in red, and right at the 4:48 timestamp, the video cuts back to the cake, a top-down view of the bride and groom toppers, and the groom is still knocked over from where she knocked it over earlier in the video. And the bride's topper's gown turns red. This would be pointing to the man being defeated and claiming debut in this quadrant would make her the victor. Okay, so Midnight's connections. Taylor has used Spotify canvases, those little videos that play short clips while a song is playing on Spotify, to give many Easter eggs thus far, but one that points towards this theory is in the canvas for Maroon on Midnight's. Taylor is sitting in front of a red wall and her head is kind of cocked at an angle. If the screen was a clock, she would be pointing her head to 1 o'clock. She then sits straight up, head to 12, and then leans forward and looks down at what would be 6. 112 stolen songs, 112 day cycles to reclaim 6 stolen albums. When Taylor announced the Midnight's album, she began revealing the track list through a series on social media called Midnight's Mayhem. She did not reveal the track list in order, and in these little videos, there were little odd things Taylor did throughout these videos that make a bit more sense now. The first episode of Midnight's Mayhem that Taylor holds the red phone upside down is episode 2. The next one she holds the phone upside down is episode 6. Then in episode 7 and episode 10, she puts the phone on her right ear instead of her left ear, like the rest of the videos. The odd episodes are 2, 6, 7, and 10. At this point, we already had Fearless Taylor's version and Red Taylor's version. We got Speak Now Taylor's version in July, 7. We are getting 1989 in October, 10. And this supports the theory for Reputation in February, 2. And Debut in June, 6. Let's go back to the Midnight's finals real quick. It's a clock. She's a clock. We talked about the 4 variations that you could put together to make said clock. When Midnights was released, she then released the 3 a.m. edition on the same night at 3 a.m., but with more songs. So why are these 4 vinyls the standard Midnights and not any other variation? Standard Midnights album has 13 songs. If the Midnights era is the era in which she is reclaiming her work in 112-day cycles over a total of 448 days, wouldn't it be such an Easter egg if those 13 songs totaled out to 44 minutes and 8 seconds exactly? And it does. Midnights was released on October 21st, 2022. 448 days after this date is Friday, January 12th, 2024, which also is 112. Here's some pod exclusive clowning. So far, we've gotten re-record announcements roughly 2 months before each release, but that would put Rep's announcement over her birthday and the holidays, and that's such a busy time. So what if 1/12/24 is when we get the announcement for the Rep re-record in February? The other theory that has been floating around is that after we got the Eras Tour movie announcement for October 13th, 2023, there was also news that it was a theatrical release only for 13 weeks, because of course, and after those 13 weeks, Taylor can put the movie on streaming services. 13 weeks after October 13th, 2023 is Friday, January 12th, 2024. If you combine these 2 theories, which I believe could be a possibility, then perhaps you get a streaming version of the movie that when it's released has a little extra surprise at the end of the movie with a Rep release date. So let's wrap all of this up.
Woohoo!
If we go back to when Evermore was supposed to be originally released, we see the 112-day theory born. So I had 2 notes here, but we already talked about one. Taylor moved the Evermore date because Paul McCartney was releasing on the original date, and she moved the Red Taylor's version release date because Adele was releasing on the original date. So what a good friend.
Ain't got that dog.
Evermore was supposed to be released on 12/18/20, December 18th, 2020. 112 days later was the release of Fearless Taylor's version. 224 days after Fearless Taylor's version was the original release date of Red Taylor's version. 336 days after Red Taylor's version, we got Midnight. The Eras Tour began on March 17th, 2023. 112 days later, we got Speak Now Taylor's version. 112 days after Speak Now, we get 1989. 112 days later, on February 16th, we expect Reputation. And 112 days after that, we expect Debut on June 7th, 2024. Wrapping up Taylor breaking the karma cycle and reclaiming her bliss. I am exhausted. Goodbye.
Thank you, Kimberly. Let's get into the song of the week, which is Long Live from Speak Now. And of course, Speak Now Taylor's version. The original Speak Now was released back in 2010, so we first heard Long Live all the way back then when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was in 5th grade.
Ooh, I don't like that. A remix featuring Brazilian singer Paula Fernandes came out in 2012 and peaked at number 5 on the Brazilian charts. The song was written by Taylor Swift, solo, like all the Speak Now songs.
Mm-hmm.
It was originally produced by Taylor and her go-to guy Nathan Chapman, but the Taylor's version was produced by Taylor and Christopher Rowe, her new go-to guy, as per usual.
Mm-hmm.
The original reached number 85 on the Hot 100 despite not being a single, while Taylor's version hit number 53. Taylor has talked about this song a little bit. She said, quote, "This song is about my band and my producer and all the people who've helped us build this brick by brick. The fans, the people who I feel that we are all in this together. This song talks about the triumphant moments that we've had in the last 2 years. Had times where we just jump up and down and dance like we don't care how we're dancing. Just scream at the top of our lungs. How is this happening? And I feel very lucky to even have had one of those moments. Nonetheless, all the ones that I got to have. Long Live is about how I feel reflecting on it. This song for me is like looking at a photo album of all the award shows and all the stadium shows and all the hands in the air in the crowd. It's sort of the first love song I've written to my team. So that's what Taylor's, that's what she was thinking about when she wrote it. How's the critical reception for this song?
Rolling Stone said it was a ridiculously over-the-top prom anthem.
Mm-hmm.
BBC said an example of Taylor's maturing songwriting.
Nice.
Consequence said, the best song from Speak Now.
Controversial.
Pop Matters said, somewhat generic.
Ugh.
Hitfix said, too long, lyrically unsophisticated.
Okay.
NME said, generic filler.
Oof.
And Spin said, one of the two most forgettable songs, Speak Now songs, along with Sparks Fly. Incorrect.
Spin is coming in with some weird takes.
Sparks Fly should have been the name of the album. It is the song that everyone thinks about when they think about Speak Now.
Yep, it was a very successful single. I don't know. You're just wrong, Spin. It's okay.
Wrong.
Sometimes people are wrong. The fans like it a little better. The critical reception was very mixed, but the fans like it. Mr. Rob Sheffield rated it number 6 on his list of all the Taylor Swift songs ever made. He said, quote, this is her Common People, her Born to Run, her We Are the Champions, an arena-slaying rock anthem to cap off Speak Now, for an ordinary girl who suddenly gets to feel like she rules the world for a minute or two. Long Live could be a gang of friends, a teen couple at the prom, a singer addressing her audience, but like so many songs on Speak Now, her secret prog album, it reaches the 4-minute point where it feels like it's over and she's bringing it in for a landing, except that when the song gets twice as great in the final verse, she makes a giant mess. Actual lyric, promise me this, that you'll stand by me forever. What the fuck, girl, you're doing so well there. Yeah, that's the moment that puts Long Live over the top. A song nobody else could have written, as she rides those power chords home. That's Taylor, always overdoing it, never having one feeling when 6 would do. Long Live. On Reddit, r/Taylor Swift did their Fearless TV Survivor game, and Long Live came in number 1, tied with Enchanted with exactly 400 and something votes each.
Yep.
So that's fun.
Feels about right.
Getting on to the lyrics then. Just a quick note, we've mentioned it on this podcast before. Death of the author. It's a style of criticism where the author's intent does not mean anything, and all that matters is what you take away from it as a listener or a reader.
Is in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly. So, since we already know what Taylor means, we're not going to talk about that at this point. I'm going to talk about what I feel and think when I listen to Long Live, because that seems more interesting at this point. Verse 1. I said, remember this moment in the back of my mind. The time we stood with our shaking hands, the crowds and stands went wild. We were the kings and the queens, and they read off our names. The night you danced like you knew our lives would never be the same. You held your head like a hero on a history book page. It was the end of a decade, but the start of an age. First off, you held your head like a hero on a history book page. I need to address that because a hero is a classic literary archetype, right? Mm-hmm. It goes all the way back to ancient Greece and stuff. And my 10th grade English teacher, Miss Boswell, was going to teach us about what a hero means in literature. What is a hero, what is not. And the method she chose was to pull out a boombox and to blast Bonnie Tyler's song, Holding Out for a Hero, from the Footloose soundtrack, and sing along with it.
Oh, no.
And, yeah. For those of you who don't know, Bonnie Tyler has a good voice. Miss Boswell did not. And
should have let Bonnie Tyler sing it.
Should have let Bonnie Tyler sing it. And it's not super overt, but that song is definitely about trying to get a hookup with a hot guy. You know what I mean? That's what she's holding out for.
Hero, yeah.
Yeah, she's not taking just any guy. She's holding out for a good one. So it was wildly uncomfortable, and we all felt that way. And yeah, it's one of the surreal fever dream moments of my life that I think about all the time.
Yeah, that feels like she was trying to explain to you what a hero as a literary device or whatever it means.
Sure.
And then she gave you an example by playing this, but it was an example that explained nothing. And I feel like teachers are really good at doing that. They're like, see, don't you get it by this example? And you're like, no, tell me what you mean.
Well, he's got to be fast, and he's got to be strong, and he's got to be larger than life. Those are 3 characteristics of a hero. So, and they are in that song. So,
I don't know, but I just...
Yeah, it was the worst way to do that.
Field.
For sure. But when I hear the first verse as a whole, it takes me back to high school, mostly graduation. Mm-hmm. But there is also a bit of homecoming prom in there as well. I graduated back in 2009 from high school. So it was the end of a decade for me, but the start of a new chapter in my life, a new age, if you like, and Taylor does like. But of course, the very beginning is also an ending. While my last year of high school was rough, still had a lot of fond memories and people that I knew I would miss. So it was both very exciting and also very sad. Just a sort of a noteworthy time in one's life, I think.
Also, when you definitely should have broken up with your high school girlfriend, but you didn't.
Well, I should have never dated her, and that was that was my first mistake. And then, yeah, it's like that meme. The first best time to break up with her is before you started dating, and the second best time is now. Yeah. Chorus, long live the walls we crashed through, how the kingdom lights shine just for me and you. I was screaming, long live all the magic we made. Bring on all the pretenders. One day we will be remembered. When you're young, everything is a big deal. The biggest deal, really. So, making it through does feel like you crashed through walls. Like it was impossible, but you overcame. I like the light shine just for me and you, and bring on all the pretenders. High school, a lot like the real world, is full of fake people. But, if you have people you care about, and who care about you, the fake people don't matter. You know, it's all for us, man, and nobody else matters. It's easy to do that, particularly if you have a good group of people around you. Verse 2, I said to remember this feeling, pass the pictures around, all the years that we stood there on the sidelines wishing for right now. We are the kings and the queens. You traded your baseball cap for a crown when they gave us our trophies and we held them up for our town. And the cynics were outraged, screaming, this is absurd. Because for a moment, a band of thieves in ripped up jeans got to rule the world. And I think this verse offers some good advice. Live in this moment. Be present. We spend so much time looking forward to the things we might do, or backward to the things we wish we'd done or done differently. Even when we get to the moment we've looked forward to, it can be hard to break that habit and to be in the moment. And don't we all feel like thieves sometimes? I do. Whenever I accomplish something, I can never just say to myself, oh, well, I deserve this and I earned it, and so, of course, I have it. Instead, I feel like a fraud, a con man. Are they really going to let me get away with this shit, Also, ripped jeans, man. That was some silly shit.
No, but honestly, the line, because for a moment, a band of thieves in ripped up jeans got to rule the world, it hit so hard in high school for me. Because ripped jeans were a big deal, man.
They were, and parents just didn't understand, in the immortal words of Will Smith.
My dad used to be like, you bought those jeans with rips already in them? I could have poured battery acid on jeans for you if that's what you were going for. I'm like, whatever, old man.
Yeah, so at a certain point it got real silly because they were more ripped than jean. You see those, yeah.
It did get too silly at some point. It was like your whole leg was out and there was no jean left.
Right. Onto the bridge. Hold on to spinning around. Confetti falls to the ground. May these memories break our fall. Will you take a moment? Promise me this, that you'll stand by me forever. But if, God forbid, fate should step in and force us into a goodbye, if you have children someday, when they point to the pictures, please tell them my name. Tell them how the crowds went wild. Tell them how I hope they shine. Long live the walls we crashed through. I had the time of my life with you. And this is the part that really hits me hard every time. I had a good group of friends in high school, and I lost them. Every single one. I think that's more common than young people realize. And it's hard. You do feel like you were brothers in arms. You're going through the wars together. Loving, laughing, fighting, scratching, clawing. Getting up and falling down together. And then it's over. And you lose touch. And it's like, what was the point? The memories don't break my fall. They burn because those moments, those friendships, they're gone forever. But I did have some good ones. And I do hope that they tell their kids our tales.
Yeah. I hate to be that adult to any, younger folk that are listening to this, but I know that you're not going to listen to me anyway, so it's fine. You'll learn on your own. But it is funny when you get older and you look back on it and go, man, I was really probably only friends with them because of proximity.
Yeah, that's true.
You form bonds because, like you said, you feel like you were brothers in arms. Like you were going through the same things. You were at the same place at the same time. You had to deal with the same teachers, the same drama, the same whatever. So your relationships form off that, and then you go to college or you go out into the real world, and you realize that like now you have to make friends like solely based off of like what do you like in a person. Who
Right.
do you want to be surrounded by? And you're like, I don't know. But that is why I feel like a lot of those relationships tend to fall away.
Right.
It's because you no longer have anything in common. And you're like, oh, I don't really like you as a person, actually. But yeah, there are so many people in my life that I do not talk to anymore. But I know that, I can't tell our kid stories about my life without including them. So.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Don't get old if you can help it. Children, don't do it. It's hard.
It's hard, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You'll make it.
Yeah. Oh, let's move on to thoughts then, eh? Kimberly, how do you feel about this song?
This album as a whole, but this song in particular, came out originally in a very formative and raw period of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And damn, did this song hit all of the right spots in the worst way. I used to listen to this song and sob. It made me feel some serious feelings that I didn't ask for, Taylor. But I was in the part of life that she kind of makes you think about in that moment. And I was already sort of grieving with this song. I was already grieving like that time. No, like listening to the song, I was going to be like, one day it's not going to be like this. And I was having to struggle with that in the moment. And so it used to hit me in weird spots. But I very much remember just blasting this song anytime I needed a good cry. Most of the time I was in my first car, which was an 87 Nissan Maxima.
Ooh.
If you've never seen one of those, look them up. They look wild. Just all the windows down because the air conditioning didn't work great. And just blasting this song and crying while driving down the road.
For me, I feel like most of my thoughts were in the analysis. So aside from that, I will just add that, it's just a big anthemic, like Rob said, arena song. Very catchy, very melodic, well constructed, I think, as a song. And do our ratings. For those of you who may not know how we rate songs, we rate each song from 1 to 10. 1 is very bad, 10 is very good, and 5 is mid. Kimberly, what rating do you give Long Live?
I give it a 9. When this album originally came out, it was my number 1 song on Speak Now. It would have been a 10, but now I can't give it a 10 because I only associate it with crying uncontrollably as a teenager, and so it's not a good feeling. But and since Speak Now Taylor's version has come out, I also have other songs that I think outrank this one a little bit, but I still think it's a 9. It's such a good song.
Cool. Yeah, I agree that it is a very good song. I do feel like some of the lyrics are a little bit, not as good as she is capable of. It's just, it's solid, but it does definitely tug on the emotions, for sure. It bums me out to listen to it. So, for that reason, I will give it an 8. Because it's a good song, but it could be a better song. I don't think it's the best song on Speak Now. Taylor's version. I never listened to the original one all the way through. So,
Yeah.
Yep, but a solid 8. Very good song. If you would like to tell us what you think, you may vote. We will have a poll up in the...
On Spotify.
Yep, on Spotify. Below this episode, in the description. Go down there and vote. Tell us what you give. Long live. And we will tell you what you told us when we can.
Alrighty. Next week, Fearless. Standard album, Taylor's version. We're talking about 15.
Another very tearjerker song.
Oh, yeah.
Even more so, I would say. So, that'll be fun. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. I would say follow us on social media, but right now it's kind of hard to do that. So, stay tuned. We'll let you know when we get back on.
Yep.
See you next week.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Cowboys Like Us. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at cowboyslikeus_podcast. And follow us on X at CBLU_podcast. Email us directly at cowboyslikeUspodcast@gmail.com. Y'all come back now, you hear?